this is Mrs. Brown. Today we're going to be looking at conditional statements and how to write them or rewrite them as necessary. All right, so a conditional statement is just a logical statement that has a hypothesis and a conclusion, so two parts. It's often written in the if-then format, and that's where you're going to see it most of the time. Some of the time we'll actually be needing to write it in the if-then format. Okay, so for example, if you are in a band, then you play an instrument. Okay, so the hypothesis is if you are in a band. Okay, and the conclusion is after the then, and that is you play an instrument, because why would you be in the band if you didn't play an instrument? So again, this is the hypothesis with the if, and then that's going to be the conclusion. So let's look at some examples of things that are not in if-then format so that we can write them in if-then format. All right, so all triangles have three sides. So this is obviously not in an if-then, but if I look at here, my hypothesis is all triangles. And that means that my conclusion is have three sides. So if I'm going to rewrite this, I'm going to start with an if. So if a shape is a triangle, then it has three sides. Okay, I've taken this statement and I've written it in if-then format. So let's take a look at this one. You are in Florida if you are in Orlando. So this one's a little tricky because the hypothesis is actually after the if. So if you are in Orlando, okay, then you are in Florida. So this is your conclusion. Okay, so if I'm going to write this, I'm going to rewrite it as if you are in Orlando, then you are in Florida. Again, I've got the if and the then, and that's basically it. I have to make sure I can identify the hypothesis and conclusion. The clue here was the if, that this was the hypothesis and not the conclusion in this case. So let's take a look at the last example. A polygon is a quadrilateral because it had four sides. Okay, the key here is that word because. So again, this goes to my hypothesis is second. Okay, which means the first part of that, a polygon is a quadrilateral, is my conclusion. Okay, so again, keyword to look for, because if, that gives you a clue that you're looking at the hypothesis. So if a shape has four sides, then, okay, and I probably should have used the word polygon here. If a polygon has four sides, then it is a quadrilateral. So again, I'm going to take this, that word because, that word if is an indicator that I have a hypothesis. Up here, looking at that all triangles, that's your hypothesis. Those are keywords that I'd be looking for when I was trying to decide which one was the hypothesis and which one was the conclusion. Okay. Negation, the last thing we're going to talk about with this one, is basically the opposite of the original statement. So we can either write it as not P, or this symbol means not P, and that's how we would read this, as not P. So if I look, the lines are parallel, so the opposite of that, not P, then would be the lines are not parallel. Okay, all I did was insert that word not. On the second example, the shape is not a square. So the negation, the opposite of that, so not P, is that the shape is a square. So in this case, all I had to do was remove the not in order to get the opposite. Okay, so if it's a positive statement, there's no not, then I'm adding the not. If it's a negative statement, I'm removing it in order to get the opposite. I hope this helps and have a great day.